Dear friends, as we enter into a slightly lightened state of lockdown, I'm sure there's an exuberance and an excitement to be able to go for a walk, to be outside. I'm sure your dogs are also feeling the excitement. But nevertheless, many individuals still find themselves contending with the unknown, the flux and the uncertainty of the future and what will be. And we are given great insight from the parasha this week that gives us something to be able to deal with the unknown, deal with the circumstances that we may be facing. The Torah tells us that there was a contention that took place between the rabbis and the Sadducees, in which the Sadducees held that in the service of the temple, when dealing with the incense offering, they held that one should first light the incense outside of the Holy of Holies. And as the incense was lit, then to walk into the Holy of Holies and present that smoke and that incense in a readied state. The rabbis had a contrary view, and they held that even the lighting needed to take place in the sanctuary. Even the lighting needed to take place in the Holy of Holies. They would light it inside of the Holies of Holies, and then the smoke would rise up and create a beautiful fragrance. How is this meant to give us any insight in dealing and coping with the stress and anxieties of the unknown? My friends, the message is as follows. We have two circumstances that we deal with in our lives. The first is something called the process. The process is things that we need to do in order to eventuate with a possible outcome. And the second is the outcome itself, thinking about what will be, how it will end up, what we need to aim towards, etc., etc. But there are times in life that the outcome is unknown. There are times in life that we have no idea what's going to be. And what the rabbis are teaching us is that the process also has extreme value. Not to forget the focus on the process. What do I need to do? What do I need to focus on to make my efforts to eventuate in the best possible circumstance, the best possible outcome? But the rabbis are teaching us here that the lighting of the incense is extremely valuable. Not to just focus on bringing the incense already lit into the holies of holies, but the actual lighting itself has sanctity, has holiness. It needs to be focused on. The process itself needs to be sanctified. And at times of difficulty and times of unknown and times of doubt and times of uncertainty, when we're left not knowing what the outcome will be, what we need to do is focus solely on the process. What can we do now in order to be productive? What can we do now to potentially alleviate any concerns in the future? What is becoming an incumbent upon us to engage with now that will be responsible? And what can we do? That's the only thing we need to focus on, to the extent that we almost even forget about the outcome. The outcome is in Hashem's hands. It's not up to us. But what is up to us is the actions that we can take now and what we can do now in our lives to better our circumstances and better the circumstances of those around us. I want to conclude with a story that is told about the Brisker Rav. The Brisker Rav, living in Europe, was subject to the most horrible bombings that took place in World War II. And his students noticed that there are moments where the Brisker Rav was extremely relaxed, extremely okay. And there were other times that he was extremely confounded and anxious and stressed. And they confronted him and asked him, how is it that sometimes you're relaxed, sometimes you weren't relaxed, sometimes you were so anxious and scared? And the answer that the Brisker Rav gave was the following: that when he had an opportunity to do something, when he could act, when he could change something, when he could be engaged with something to change the scenario, to look after the health of himself, his family, or people around, maybe to change the circumstance, then he was anxious. Then he knew it's incumbent upon him to do something. But when he had done everything he could and there was nothing left to do, he didn't have to worry. It was in Hashem's hands now. Nothing left to worry about. And my friends, the same is true for us. There is nothing to worry about apart from what we can do. The outcome is in Hashem's hands. We are not fortune tellers. We don't tell the future. We don't even need to think about the future. But what we need to think about is what we can do now to eventuate with a blessing in the future. My blessing to everyone is you should enjoy the fresh air, God willing, that we'll be able to exercise outside, that our dogs, and if you walk your cat should also enjoy it. But also to not focus so much about what will be and how it will be and what are we going to do if this happens. But what can we do now? That's the only thing we need to focus on. Hashem should bless us. We should be reunited and see a lot of success in every single endeavor that we undertake. We should have health, happiness, parnasa. Wishing you a beautiful Shabbos, and hopefully we'll be able to continue our journey together with much blessing.